with Tyson Bryden.
Welcome to Nonstop Rock Talk. I am your host, Tyson Bryden. Today, it gives me great pleasure to welcome legendary singer, the Metal Cowboy, Ron Keel. Ron, welcome to the show. How is it going?
It's going great, Tyson. Good to see you and good to talk to you and your audience. Nonstop talk. That's what I do. I talk nonstop anyway. Might as well do it with you and your people.
That's funny. You know what? We actually spoke 5-6 years ago during COVID, actually. We were right in the thick of COVID. And I actually went back and listened to some of the interview today. And I mean, we were discussing about COVID and I said, well, what are you up to? Are you kind of, like you were kind of inside and I was inside and here we are now. We're way past that. Thank goodness.
Yeah, we're still inside. And so much, yeah. I mean, we learned a lot about working online during that. I learned a lot about working online prior to that in 2017 when my wife was diagnosed with cancer. And I couldn't tour that year. I wanted to be home with her and take care of her through, 9 surgeries, radiation, chemotherapy, all that. So I had to find a way that I could interact with my fans and friends online. So I launched a Patreon page at patreon.com/Ron Keel.
Yep.
And it's been 7 years now since we've been doing that Patreon thing online. And it's a worldwide community of my tribe, my friends, my fans, my family. They're what keeps me going. So I'm thankful for the lessons we learned and that we're still here, able to rock and talk.
That's amazing. Now, you have recently released a brand new song and video on RFK Records entitled The Last Ride, which was inspired by the comic book Keelworld, Metal Cowboy, which of course is you. I'm kind of curious about this endeavor. How did that all come to fruition?
Well, I think the marriage of rock and roll and comic books was consummated when Kiss put out that comic book in the 70s
right.
with their own blood in the print, in the ink. And I'm a longtime comic book nut. I grew up reading the Batman and Superman comics when I was a kid, and I still have a pretty huge comic collection. And
cool.
The idea was generated by this company, Metal Nerds Incorporated, and they said they wanted to make a Ron Keel comic book, and they really got the ball rolling. I'm no hero, but this comic book thing is really cool. I get to play the Metal Cowboy in the story and travel back through time to the 80s heyday of Steeler and Keel, and it's set in the near future, the post-apocalyptic era, after the cities have been taken over by AI, and I am fighting AI as the villain in the comic book and my new movie as well. We could talk about that if you like. But,
sure.
I did not write the story. I'm not a comic book writer. I know to stay in my lane, but the people who wrote the thing and did the artwork and all that, it's fantastic, man. I'm really, really super proud of this. And it's a beautiful package.
That looks
like
amazing.
A graphic novel, and I'm signing copies and sending them out as quickly as I possibly can. It also comes with a pull-out poster that's signed as well in the comic book. And these transition pages, which take you through the Steeler, Keel, and Metal Cowboy eras, these are actual.
Oh, wow.
This is actual my floor of my house covered with Steeler and Keel memorabilia. They wanted to do it with, Photoshop or whatever. I said, no, I'll do it for real. So I literally spread all of this stuff out on my floor and took a picture of it. And those are the transition pages in the comic book. It's done by 4 different artists as well, which is cool. Each artist brings a different flavor to each era. The Metal Cowboy era, the Steeler era, the Keel in the 80s era. So it's a labor of love, something I'm really proud of. And the new single and video, The Last Ride, which you mentioned, were inspired by the comic book, trying to bring the comic book to life in a video type of setting with a music video. It's called The Last Ride, and I have a song called The Last Ride. So it ties everything together from the Metal Cowboy album to the Keelworld album and the comic book, all in one nice cohesive package. And it's just all about entertaining people, man. And it starts with the music. but we're branching out into comic books, movies, and other media as well. So just as long as we can give people something to enjoy and entertain them along the way, that's what it's all about.
That's awesome. I mean, speaking of all that Keel Steelers stuff, so do you have a lot of the memorabilia left from back in the day?
I have tons. I have boxes in the archives, and I had to go through it all for this process. First of all, it's time to clean the basement. And so I went through all the boxes, collected all the archives for these photos that you saw in the comic book, and I'm sending out a piece of those archives, a page from a metal magazine like Cream or Hit Parader or Circus, a backstage pass, a ticket stub, whatever from the archives. I'm sending those out to Patreon All Access members who purchase the comic book. They're getting an actual piece of that memorabilia in their personal collections, just as a gift to thank the fans for their support.
That's so amazing. That's so cool. I remember years back, Tommy Thayer from Black and Blue having all these Black and Blue Without Love t-shirts for sale that he found in an attic somewhere or something. And I just thought that was the coolest thing. I mean, they were pricey and I didn't buy one, but I'm always intrigued by that stuff to see what the artist has actually kept, because that's a piece of music history and your history as well, right?
I did. You know, at the time, in the 80s, I was keeping scrapbooks. I would religiously collect the pieces and put them in scrapbooks. And then in 85, when the Right to Rock album came out, it became so overwhelming that you just couldn't keep track of it. So you just take all the magazines and put them in boxes, and all the ticket stubs, all the backstage passes, all the photographs, all just T-shirts. I mean, I've got the T-shirts that I wore on stage back in the day, and I've sent some of those out as gifts as well to the fans. And we're running a contest now on Patreon that you can win a stage-worn Steelers shirt from 1983. I can't take this stuff with me. I'm not going to be here forever. I'm on a one-day contract, and I'm doing the best I can to get through each day, one day at a time. But at this stage of the game, what am I going to do? Leave all that stuff for my wife and kids to have to clean up or go through when I'm gone? Not that I'm going anywhere anytime soon. I'm young. I'm 65 years young, and I'm healthy, and I'm feeling good, and I'm doing well. But you know, there's a last time for everything. Time waits for no one. That's what The Last Ride, the song itself, is all about. That's the first line of the lyric. There's a last time for everything, and that's the truth, man. So rather than just keep all this stuff in boxes in my basement, I'm sending it out to all of our members at patreon.com/Ron Keel.
Now the video. I loved the video. And you look really badass, by the way.
Thank you.
In the video. Like you look like you should be like in Terminator or something. Like you could be the next action hero, which was so cool.
Well, I love the video too. I appreciate that. We have mixed reactions. A lot of people really love it and enjoy it. It is done with AI. It's animated. And so the AI haters are giving me a lot of flack, but I'm a flack magnet anyway. I can take it. But it's an animated music video that brings the comic book to life. There was no other way you can do that with drone fights and the futuristic landscapes and all that. And now I can still ride a motorcycle. I can still fight. I can still sing. I'm not sure I can run that fast, though. I run really fast in the video at the very yes.
I mean, I loved it when you come into that town and you're at the club and it says Steelers sold out, and then you go inside and you're on stage from back in the day, and I thought it was funny because I was like, there's a guitar player, and I was like, oh, that's not Yngwie, right? but regardless, it didn't matter.
I think the guitar player kind of looks like Mitch Perry, who is now the guitar player.
He does. He
has been in Steeler since Yngwie left in 1983. Mitch has been in the band for 42 years, so
40-something years.
I think that looks a little bit like Mitch. We don't show his whole face, but it was. The story is trying to take the Metal Cowboy on a journey back into time, back to as he revisits these places like Hollywood or Madison Square Garden when we opened for Bon Jovi. Yes. As I walk through those doors, I'm transported back in time to those experiences, and taking the viewer, the audience, the listener, the whoever reads the comic book, the reader, the viewer, whatever, taking you on a journey with me through time, going back to those magic moments that made history in the 80s.
Yeah, and I love that. And I love the Madison Square Garden Bon Jovi with special guest Keel, and I'm like, oh, this is amazing. And then it shows you in, like you're on stage, and the stage attire from the 1987 self-titled album, which was a cool look. And that was, and you guys you also opened for Motley Crue on that tour, I believe.
We did,
as well,
yes.
Did you not? Yeah, which is amazing to me. I mean, both those bands were at the height, so that fan base that you got to play for was probably huge every night.
Yeah, rocking those arenas with my friends and heroes like Bon Jovi and Motley Crue and Aerosmith and Van Halen. And the list goes on. Ronnie James Dio, 14 countries throughout Europe in 86. So many dreams come true, and you can't capture all that in a 3-minute video, but we thought we certainly had to take them back to Hollywood and the Steeler days,
awesome.
and also Madison Square Garden opening for Bon Jovi, which we did 3 nights at the Garden with Bon Jovi, which was one of the most incredible experiences. I remember the first night, you're absolutely intimidated by the history of the building. This is the Garden, man. It's sacred ground. And you walk in to the Madison Square Garden, and it's a little nerve-wracking and a lot of pressure. And the second night, it's like, okay, cool, we're at the Garden. It's like, we're okay. We did good last night, and tonight's just another night, right? By the third night at Madison Square Garden, we're just walking in like we're the house band at Madison Square Garden, high-fiving the security guards, and skateboarding down the hallways, just like we own the Garden, right? So it was an incredible 3-day stand, or 3-day residency at Madison Square Garden, opening for Bon Jovi at their peak on the Slippery When Wet tour. It doesn't get any better than that.
That's crazy. Like when you put that into perspective, right? Like, I mean, I grew up, I was a kid then, like a teenager. So I remember all these tours, and I remember when that album came out and when you guys were opening for Bon Jovi and Motley Crue, because I read Circus Magazine and I read Metal Edge. So you kind of were in the know of what was going on, who was opening for who. And it was such a great time. And you wanted to go to every show because not only were you getting a great headliner, you were always, for the most part, you were always getting a great opener as well.
Yeah, you make a great point there. Back then, we knew everything. We knew where everybody was on tour. We knew what new albums were coming out through those magazines, Circus, Hit Parade, or Cream. Now, in the day of massive information overload, we don't know what the hell's going on. Does somebody release somebody's coming to the arena down the road from my house? I have no idea, because
I know
the information is so scattered and widespread these days. But back then we knew who was on tour with who, and it was great to see those full page ads in Circus Magazine. Catch Keel on tour with Bon Jovi and Motley Crue. I have a lot of those in my memorabilia collection as well. Those, apparently I bought a ton of magazines, and I've got all those pages that I'm sending to the fans and reliving those moments in history. But it was a great time, and I'm very thankful for those opportunities and experiences.
I mentioned the outfit that you're wearing in 87. Now that album cover was, you guys wore these, I guess, would you call them sequins? You guys were kind of like matching, sequenced almost. Very, very, like, it was a good look, and you guys looked very professional. Was that like, did you guys have a clothing designer that came up with those outfits?
Good point, and a good story behind it. The designer for the wardrobe, and there was one guy, his name was Ray Brown, and he did all the clothes for everybody, because he started with Motley Crue and Judas Priest, and he did all their outfits. So if you want to spice up your stage look, you go to Ray Brown. And we went to Ray, and each guy had kind of designed their own outfit or stage costume, whatever. And for better, for worse, it wasn't a cohesive look. We kind of tricked, MCA Records was our label at the time, and they had spent a large sum of money on the Final Frontier album in 86. That at the time cost $15,000, which is probably $50,000 or more in today's money. But the artist who did the Final Frontier with the Keel logo on a spaceship rising out of the New York harbor, that cost $15,000. And they said, okay, for this next album, we're just going to put a picture of the band on the cover, okay? Just a picture of the band. We said, okay, that'll be fine. So they built this huge set like Superman's Fortress of Solitude and put us up on, you got the album cover right there. And they built these metal grates and put lights under the grates and up Final Frontier. It ended up costing them $15,000 for that photo session because they built the set. The costumes were probably $20,000 just to get those clothes made. And, so it was an expensive operation back in the day, but it is an iconic album cover. We had probably 100 shots to pick through. And I was looking through them with the loop and on the light box, looking through each picture from that photo session. And that was the only keeper. The one that we ended up using, it was like, that's the shot. And MCA Records had a reputation for putting just a picture of the artist on the album. George Strait was on MCA at the time. And he'd put a cowboy hat on, take a picture, it's your album cover. And so we said, okay, we'll do that. We'll just put a picture of the band on the album cover. It ended up costing him just as much money anyway. But it is an iconic album and album cover and a very special time in history for me.
That's amazing. Now, Michael Wagner, I believe, produced that album.
That's correct. Yeah. One of the best ever.
Now, I still listen to this album on a regular basis. One of my favorite songs is I Said the Wrong Thing to the Right Girl. It's one of the greatest song titles ever. I think it's got a little bit of humor in it as well, but it's a great song. Now, tell me about working with Michael after having worked with Gene Simmons on the previous two releases. Was it different?
It was very different, but also the band was different. By then, we were seasoned. We were veterans. We'd been out for a few years, and we had learned a lot about songwriting on the road, how to capture ideas, how to write together. And so the band was coming into its own from a musical standpoint as well. At the same time, we came into that situation with Michael Wagner, who is, at the time, a state-of-the-art producer, making everything sound the best it could possibly sound, real hands-on. Also an engineer. He actually turned the knobs and the faders and made those sounds happen. And the two things Michael Wagner and Gene Simmons had in common was they were both experimenters. They weren't afraid to try different approaches, different microphones, different placements, different ways of recording. Michael was very open to experimentation on that record, but that was the first digital recording as well, so where you're not limited by tracks. That was the first time we'd recorded digitally, and so you could have as many tracks as you wanted. So we had, at least 12 rhythm guitar tracks on each song. So the guitars are huge. And then on United Nations, I think we had the Guinness World Record for the most background singers on an album session. We had 75 people in the studio, and we doubled it and tripled it and quadrupled it and just kept stacking these huge "We Are United Nations" background vocals. It was a big deal at the time. But it was, and the record does sound really good. It sonically stands the test of time really well.
And you mentioned that there's a lot of 80s albums that I think still hold up today. You can listen to them and they still sound fresh. Like there's stuff that is dated, obviously, but I think there's a lot of, because of the way the production was, especially in the later 80s, a lot of them have really held up. And that obviously is one of them.
Thank you. And, the Boston album from the 70s, that album still sounds incredible. Done in Tom Scholz's basement. Yep. You can catch lightning in a bottle if you got the right people, the right music, and the right situation.
Yeah, I have that on vinyl, and I put it on every so often, and can't believe how good it sounds.
Man. It's for mid-70s. It sonically really still competes.
Let's go back to The Lost Ride. I want to dissect the track a little bit. There's, in terms of musicianship on this, there's killer dobro work by Rascal Flatts, Travis Toy, guitars by Keith Robert, and the drums are by Y&T drummer Mike Vanderhool. That's an amazing cast of musicians on this track.
Yeah, I was really lucky on that Metal Cowboy session to have some of the best players in the business, and Mike Vanderhool did the whole album. Mike from Y&T, he and I toured Europe together in 2009, and we knew at that point we have to make a record together, and that was the perfect storm to get Mike involved. I did all the rhythm guitars, and a strange thing about The Last Ride in terms of production and recording was that there are no background vocals on that song. Very rare that you have a Ron Keel song that doesn't have a big anthem chorus or harmony vocals or anything. It's just my voice by itself. I played all the guitars and the bass on that track. The lead guitarist, Keith Robert, is Las Vegas's premier Ace Frehley tribute act. And he plays all that Ace Frehley stuff perfectly, and he brought that Ace Frehley flavor to this track, and it's just perfect for the song, bouncing back and forth between that and the Dobro track from Travis Toy from Rascal Flatts. Now, that Dobro, for people that don't know, I mean, a lot of metalheads might know what the hell's a Dobro. A Dobro is called amazing. A resonator guitar. It's got a big round metal plate on the top. You've seen those kind of guitars, and they play it on their lap like a pedal steel with a slide bar. So it sounds cowboy. It sounds southwestern or southern in a way. Travis Toy from Rascal Flatts was I had a Dobro player that I was working with set up, ready to do the session. Okay, today's Dobro day. All right, I called Tommy, my Dobro player. I called him. I said, okay, I'll see you at the studio at 10. He goes, hey man, I really want to play on this record, but my friend Travis Toy from Rascal Flatts is in town. Rascal Flatts has a gig at the arena tonight, and Travis is just hanging around all day with nothing to do. I can bring him in, and he'll do the session for you. I think he did the whole album for like $200, and he walked in, never heard any of the songs before. So cool. I just put it up, put the track up, and he just threw down. So that reckless, wild Dobro sound and style that Travis brought to the track really brings it to life.
Yeah, I mean, Dobro is such an amazing sound, and I grew up listening to country music and slide guitar because my dad was a big old country guy. So, from the time I was little, I mean, country was in my life. I just so happened as a teenager I became a heavy metal guy, right? It was such a big thing. It was such a big part of my life, and for a lot. Exactly. So I mean. So Dobro is something that I grew up listening to, but I mean, for my hard rock heavy metal listeners, I mean, Tom Kiefer from Cinderella is an amazing Dobro player, and later on he would use Dobro on Heartbreak Station, and he might have used it on Long Cold Winter as well. So those paths in hard rock have kind of come in and out depending on who the artist in the band was, right? Which I think I love that. I love, bringing some of that element into
me too, and that's what the Metal Cowboy concept and sound is all about for me. The song "My Bad" from the Metal Cowboy album, we use banjo on a metal song, and it just works perfectly to bring that. It's a different flavor. You're painting the picture with a different color as opposed to just red, white, black, blue. It's a different color that it brings to the recording and the song. And it makes it Metal Cowboy.
Yeah, I love that concept. Music should have no limitations in that way, right? Like you should branch out a little bit and add like you said, a little bit more color to something that's already great. It just adds a little bit more depth. If you want to, man, right? It's
all there for us to. These are all tools that we use to create sounds, and certain instruments can make it country. For instance, fiddle, pedal steel guitar. There's no fiddle or pedal steel guitar on that album. There is pedal steel guitar on Just Like Tennessee, actually, but there's no fiddle. You hear that fiddle and the pedal steel, then it makes a rock song country. I think the dobro and the harmonica and the honky-tonk piano kind of thing makes it more cowboy, southern, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, a lot of country that sounds like rock now, just has country elements on it, like those instruments that we talk about. Some of it sounds like rock, right? It's got pedal steel and fiddle. You take a rock song and put that on it, and they the two have kind of crossed together almost, right?
Yeah, I try and keep that separate on my new album, Keelworld, which I'm not sure if you have this one or not, but This
Do not yet.
is my latest album, which contains all new, brand new music from Keel, Steeler, Iron Horse, Ron Keel Band, Ronnie Lee Keel, the country side of me, Black Sabbath tribute on their Emerald Sabbath, Black Sabbath cover of Children of the Grave. And on the country songs, where it says Ronnie Lee Keel, yeah, there's some pedal steel guitar on those because it makes it country.
I was listening to that album today, actually.
Cool.
I was streaming it. So, and I was checking out the RFK site, looking at what was available to buy. So I may pick that up at some point.
Thank you.
So that's very cool. That's very cool. There was something I was going to mention, and it goes back to the 80s again. And I'm sorry to keep bringing up the 80s, but I mean...
That's what people are drawn to, that era and that decade. So it's all good, man. Bring it up.
Okay. I always thought it was great that there was this thing, and you would see it in the magazines as well. You had worked with Gene Simmons, Keel worked with Gene Simmons, and Black and Blue worked with Gene Simmons as well. And there was always seems like this cohesion between Black and Blue, Keel, and Gene Simmons, that you guys were kind of all, and at times you would work together.
Black and Blue and Keel goes even further back to Black and Blue and Steeler, where I met those guys when they first came to L.A. and Hollywood. We became fast friends. I was a fan then. I'm a fan now. And
as I am.
Just developed a really good friendship and toured together as well. And Gene produced our first two records. And during the Final Frontier sessions, Jamie St. James came in and sang some background vocals with us. And it is kind of like the Kiss Keel Mafia, so
yeah, I know, like it's amazing.
And we're all very grateful for that association and that connection with Gene, who was a mentor and a friend to both Keel and Black and Blue.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I always thought that was the coolest, that, that you guys were, it's nice to see bands being cohesive together, where it's not a competition. It's like, we like each other and we like each other's music, and we're supportive of each other.
Well, it was very competitive back then in certain ways. Black and Blue's an exception because we were really, really good friends, and we toured together with Queensryche in '86 and did a lot of shows nationwide. There's a healthy competition when you're touring with somebody because you want to kick their ass. You want to, whoever.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think on that tour, Black and Blue was the opener, Keel was second, then Queensryche. So we had to follow them every night. I think they were going out there knowing, they were confident. They had a great show, great songs, great guitar team. They had it together. The only way we could follow them is to rock harder and scream louder and scream higher. And, but it was a great bill. It's always great when Keel and Black and Blue are on the bill together. And hopefully that'll happen again before it's too late. I would love to do more shows with those guys.
I hope so. That would be amazing.
We've done the Monsters of Rock cruise together a couple of times. And we've done some shows in the last 10 years or 10 or 12 years, but not enough. I'm ready for a Keel Black and Blue reunion.
That would be awesome. I mean, just hearing that lineup of those three bands, Black and Blue, Keel, and Queensryche, back in the day, that goes back to what I was saying, like these three killer bands. And you think of probably what that cost compared to what a ticket price would be today.
It's all different now.
You know what I mean?
And, we have to live in the here and now and deal with the business as it is. But that was the golden age, man. It was pretty special when you could buy a ticket for $10 and see all three of those bands.
I know, that's amazing, right? Like the kids today, I would tell my son that, and he'd go, "You got to be kidding me! Like that can't be that you would pay that least like $10 or whatever, $20, whatever it was for three bands, because that's just not the way it is today." And I get it. The demographic of everything is so different.
And being a part of those tours, I was so lucky to be able to tour with bands that I'm a fan of. Queensryche, after my show, every night on that tour, I guarantee you I was out in the audience getting rocked. I was enjoying the show myself and being entertained. The tour with Dio throughout Europe, 14 countries in Europe in '86 on the Sacred Heart Tour. I was the same way. After our show, we do the meet and greet, and you try and get out into the audience as soon as you can to see Ronnie James Dio at his finest and experienced that show. I think I saw 27 Dio shows on that tour. As a fan, it doesn't get any better than that.
Man, that's so cool. Who was playing guitar for him?
Craig Goldie.
Was it Goldie? It was Goldie. Yeah.
Craig Goldie's first gig was the first gig of that tour in Helsinki, Finland. I believe it was April of 86, and Craig's first show with them was our first show with Dio. And I remember seeing Craig backstage, and he was just so freaked out and so nervous. Just got the gig, and all of a sudden he's in an arena in Helsinki, Finland, playing alongside the greatest metal vocalist of all time, Ronnie James Dio. So Craig and I still talk about that from time to time. It was a crazy night.
Did you know Craig from LA?
Yes. Yeah.
Before he got the deal,
LA
when he was
scene, everybody
Jeffrey.
knew everybody. It was a small town. Even though it was Hollywood, it was a village, and everybody knew everybody else. I mean, there was camaraderie and competition, a healthy dose of both. We were all friends, but we were all out to kick each other's ass, and you're competing for the ticket sales, the record deal. We're all, everybody's chasing a record deal at the time, or the ticket sales, or the girls, or the parties and all that. We were competing for all that, so it was pretty heavy.
Wow, that's cool. Now, you guys at Keel didn't take part in Hearing Aid, I believe, right? Was it? Were you ever asked, or was that just?
I think we were on the road when that happened. I'm pretty sure we were on tour and missed out on that opportunity to be a part of that. I don't think it was because we weren't welcome. I think it was because we were somewhere else. I don't know.
Somewhere else,
where or when.
It's that was such a cool thing. I mean, I actually picked that album up on vinyl a couple years ago, a used copy, and the song is still so cool. I mean, all the guitar solos and all the vocalists, and it was just one of those really cool things. And that was the hard rock heavy metal community, that was like separate from the pop artists, and it was like kind of our own thing as metal fans.
Yeah, and we might have been invited. Cool. I know Ronnie was a supporter of mine from day one. He came to a Steelers show at the Roxy. Ronnie James Dio. Do I need to say his last name? Yeah. It's Ronnie, right? Ronnie James Dio came to a Steelers show at the Roxy, and we played. And after the show, we're backstage in the dressing room, and my roadie comes in and says, Ronnie James Dio's outside, and he wants to come in and say hello and meet you. And I said, oh, bring him on. That's fantastic. I get to meet Ronnie James Dio. He's coming to my dressing room. Wow, how cool is this? Cool. And Ronnie walks in. Yeah. And I'm 6'4", and Ronnie was not. Yeah. I mean, he's a shorter, smaller dude, like down here. And I don't know what possessed me to say this, Tyson, but I just shook his hand. I looked down at him and said, Ronnie James Dio, I've always looked up to you. And I've always looked up to you. And he thought it was the coolest thing, and we became friends, and he took us on tour. So that's the story of me meeting Ronnie James Dio, and he taught me so much on that tour. We would sit backstage and talk about the voice and the rock and roll history and so many things. He never warmed up. He never sang a note before he walked on stage.
Really?
A lot of singers have their ritual, and they'll go through this process of transformation. Before you hit the stage, you're warming your voice up. Ronnie said, I never warm up. I'm saving it all for the stage. And he'd just walk out there and be that guy, and never had a bad night that I know of up until his final concert, which you can hear on the live recordings with Heaven and Hell right before he passed. Yeah. He never had a bad night. It's pretty amazing.
Wow. That is amazing. Wow. Now, last time we spoke of Fair Game, that I thought was such a cool band, and I had to listen to it again to make sure and I was sure we had talked about it, but which is available on your Patreon. Is it still available on there, that Fair Game album?
If it's not, it should be. I'm going to check when we get done talking. If it's not there, I'll put that free download up for all the Patreon All Access members. It's a great part of my history and some great music.
Yeah, it is a great album. Now, have you ever thought about re-releasing that on physical copies like vinyl or CD?
Yeah, I would consider doing that. I think it's been released a couple of times on CD, and I'm pretty sure many of the fans already have it. We should reissue that with RFK Media. That's part of our process. It's going back through the catalog. Albums which I own, especially, should see the light of day on RFK Media, physically and digitally. So I'd like to explore that option. I'm sure it will happen at some point soon. And, I did talk to the girls in Fair Game about being a part of Keelworld because, like I said, this new album contains brand new music from all of my bands. Keel, Steeler, Iron Horse, Rod Keel Band, Ronnie Lee Keel, and so forth. And I really wanted a Fair Game song on there, but we could not properly negotiate that to make it happen. We really couldn't find a song that really felt like a Fair Game song. And it didn't happen, but I tried. And I'm really thankful for the opportunity that the girls brought to the table in 1989, 90, 91, that 3-year span during the transition from metal to grunge in the late 80s, early 90s. We were right there on the doorstep. It would have been the first rock/hard rock metal band with a male vocalist and all female backing musicians. We would have made history. And that's what I was trying to do with that. So but the timing just wasn't right. Nirvana and Pearl Jam had already kind of pushed us to the side. So it was not for lack of trying. I'm always going to treasure the memory and the songs. That's some of the best vocals and songwriting of my career, I think.
I mean, that material is great.
Thank you.
And I have heard it, and I think it's amazing. And that's why I asked, because I would love to see that on vinyl or re-release, because I would buy it, obviously, because as a vinyl collector. And
maybe I said the wrong things to the right girls.
Oh, you were waiting for that. That was great, Ron.
Creative kind of guy. It just popped into my head. That's awesome. I'll have to keep that.
See what I mean about that title, though? It's so you can use it in everyday life, right?
Who hasn't said the right thing to the wrong girl, or the wrong thing to the girl?
The wrong thing to the right girl.
It goes both ways.
I was actually telling my wife today. I was telling her about our interview, and I said, it's one of the greatest song titles that I love, and that was the song. And she laughed. She thought it was pretty funny. Actually,
that's a hit song waiting to happen. We only released one single from that album. Somebody's Waiting was the lead single. I think if I said the wrong thing to the right girl had been the single, history would have turned out very differently. But we didn't get a second shot. They released Somebody's Waiting and then pulled the plug. So we're on tour with Bon Jovi at the time, and we didn't get a second single. That was MCA's brilliance, that you can't rewrite history. You just got to live with the past and walk on into the future and do the best we can one day at a time.
Yeah, and I mean, Calm Before the Storm as a ballad probably would have been a hit as well. I mean, it's a great, that was ballad time. I mean, everybody was releasing a ballad, and they were going in the, on Billboard.
It would have been. I agree. I think that album really had a shot. Tough to follow the Right to Rock. Final Frontier, even though it charted higher. But just to have 3 albums in Billboard's Hot 100 and sell millions of records, I'm thankful for what I've been given and what I was a part of. And no regrets, man. No regrets. Just very thankful and appreciative.
Yeah, and you know what? A funny thing about this, you mentioned the Right to Rock. Did you find, I've never asked an artist this, did you find the demographic of the music from, say, 84 to 87 changed? Because it was in 83, 84, 80, maybe 85, it was more of a guy's heavy metal thing, and it kind of it changed a little bit, I think. I don't know if you guys noticed that as you're out there, or you were just making music, but I think there's 2 demographics of the hard rock era of the 80s.
Well, you had your metalheads, the guys in leather jackets with the greasy hair that go mosh and headbang and all that. But you also had the Bon Jovi tour, which we did. It was 18,000 screaming teenage girls in front of us, and we would kind of tailor the show for the audience. If you're opening for Metallica, you're going to put in all the heavy tunes, on the set list. You're going to doctor the show to where, you're going to appeal to that fan base. And Dio as well. Dio was a predominantly male audience. We toured Europe with Dio. But you're touring with Bon Jovi, you want to put I Said the Wrong Thing to the Right Girl and Cherry Lane and all those songs. Calm Before the Storm.
That's right.
Yeah, you had to include those songs. I still do that to this day. I'll tailor the show to the audience, so I know we're playing for a certain demographic. I'll make sure to give them what they want, man. Give the people what they want. My career has been diverse enough I have a lot to pull from, a lot of different songs and eras that I can craft a strong show using the material at hand. So I still try and do that. We play the Sturgis Rally every year, the big motorcycle event here in the States, in South Dakota. We do 6 nights at the Full Throttle, and you're going to get, we opened for Night Ranger this past year, and you're going to get 10,000 people in front of you, and probably 1,000 of them know who I am, and 9,000 of them have never heard of me. It's just the way it is. If you sell millions of records, billions of people don't like you or don't know who you are. So you try and tailor the show to where your songs are songs that are going to resonate with that audience, whether they know who you are or not, especially as an opening act back in the day. We were touring with Bon Jovi. A lot of those teenage girls didn't know who Keel was. You're an opening act. It's their first time they've ever seen you. Maybe they haven't even heard of you. So you've got to make a good impression. Once you hit the stage, you get that 45-minute opportunity to win them over. And I think we did a lot of that.
I want to go back to RFK Media, because not only are you releasing your own music, but you've released a Cold Sweat album, The Fifth, and Crashing Wayward, which is awesome. And of course there's a Keel association with Cold Sweat because of Mark Ferrari, who plays in Keel, and then Roy Cathy, who's in Cold Sweat and The Fifth. So there's kind of that Keel association a little bit,
the RFK
which
Mafia.
I think is great. That's the RFK Mafia, which I love. And this looks amazing, by the way. I love that.
Thank you. My wife, Renee Keel, did the artwork for that. And she did Keelworld, and she did this artwork here as well. And she did the Cold Sweat artwork. She does all the artwork for the RFK Media releases. And just to have Cold Sweat on the artist roster, of course, Mark Ferrari and Roy Cathy, Chris McClernand, those guys are family. Anthony White, the drummer from Cold Sweat, is the front man for Generation Landslide. We signed Generation Landslide, and we're releasing their album early next year, and a group called Bad Marriage. So we have a pretty full roster of great new artists and old school artists like Cold Sweat and Ron Keel that keeps me very busy.
Now, is Bad Marriage Tommy Skiach's band? Is that the band? Yes, cool, from Tesla. That is amazing.
That's right. And that new album is fantastic, man. Wait till you hear this. It is fresh. It's got all the best elements of the old school American hard rock spirit, but great production, great songs, great vocals. Tommy Skeel's guitar playing, his lead solos are off the chain. It's an amazing record. I was really surprised that we signed the band just because of our friendship. I knew them, their hard work ethic, their fan base, their fans loved them. They had, it was obvious they got something going on. We need to sign this band. And we did. Cool. Before we heard the album. And then I got the album about a month ago, finished, and it's like, it just blew me away. It was one of those, it'll wreck your day. You put it on, and you just got to listen to it. And then you play it again. It'll wreck your day. I mean, that's the best way I can paraphrase it. So we're excited to get that Bad Marriage album out to share with the world in early 2026. Badmarriagemusic.com, rfkmedia.com. That's where all this happens. The bands that you mentioned, Bad Marriage, Cold Sweat, The Fifth, Roy Cathy, Generation Landslide, Ron Keel, Steeler, and the new comic book, the DVD that is now available. It's still time to get these for the holidays, kids. You can get your Keelworld vinyl, your comic book, the Keelworld comic book signed by Ron Keel. It's a fantastic piece of memorabilia and very entertaining and a fun read. And the new movie, Beginning of the End. This is a movie that I starred in. It's also AI is the bad guy in the film as well. It's the day AI pits humans against each other. And I'm really proud of that. I have an acting role in the film, but I don't play a rock star. I play just the guy next door. Literally, my character, Ray, is the guy next door, a military vet who's a diesel mechanic, single father, and is thrown into a situation that is absolutely out of control. So very proud of that. And so RFK Media has its finger in all these little pies. It's all about the music and entertaining people. And krfkradio.com, which is our 24/7 streaming audio platform where it's basically an online radio station that features all of this music and all hard rock and metal from all eras and all genres.
That's amazing, Ron. Wow.
It keeps me busy.
Man, I love it. I love it, though. I mean, and everything looks amazing. And, you know, if I got that under my tree, any of that stuff or all of that stuff, I would be so happy.
All right, then.
Under the tree. Because
send me a mailing address.
I love that stuff. Man, well, anyways, I want to thank you. Thank you for answering all the deep questions I had, and it was amazing.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
So, is there anything
to have
else?
A conversation with you, and hopefully your audience, your listeners, viewers will enjoy this as well. When I do these, I really enjoy the interview experience. To me, it's just a chance to talk with a friend and answer the questions the best I can. And I've enjoyed it. I appreciate your support of the artists and the music. Keep up the good work, man.
Thanks, man. You too. And I'm sure we will talk again in the future. Okay, Ron.
Thank
Have
you.
a great
Let
night.
them rock.
And thanks
I kill
again.
you. I love you. I kill you.
Oh man, that's the best. All right, man. Well, have a great night.
Man. Merry
Thank
Christmas.
You. Okay. Merry Christmas. Take care.
Like a